my now 3-year-old daughter, who was 2, is probably who got me through the year last year. She was with me for my wig fitting. She watched them cut my hair off. And the unconditional love of a 2-year-old went a pretty long way.
So IBC is a much different type of breast cancer because it progresses very quickly within the breast in a matter of weeks, sometimes days, and usually involves the whole breast and the lymph nodes. So it's always a locally advanced disease, sometimes a metastatic at the time of diagnosis. And the difference is there is extremely important skin changes that happen in these women. There is redness, there is swelling, so this patient can never have surgery up front as a first modality of treatment.
As you know, inflammatory breast cancer is one of the most aggressive diseases in breast cancer. It represents about 2 to 5% of breast cancer. It generally presents with redness of the breast, and it is sometimes not known by some of the primary care physicians to be believed as a cancer because it could present as like a mastitis.
And the fact that my entire breast was involved was extremely concerning to me. I knew that if it was cancer, that I was in for the fight of my life.
In general, the age of onset, the median age of onset for inflammatory breast cancer is much younger compared to standard breast cancer. And one of the reasons is that this disease is not related to exposure to estrogen, so you don't have the peak of postmenopausal breast cancer that you see in non-inflammatory. But in reality, these women span from age 20 to age 80. You can see in every age group pretty much represent, even though it's more frequent early on.
I went to radiology thinking that this was just a formality and everything else, and they did a mammogram and they did an ultrasound. And then they came back, the radiologist with the tech, and they said, well, you have extensive microcalcifications, your lymph nodes are enlarged and engorged and misshapen, and we're afraid that you have cancer.
Early detection is key to better outcomes in all breast cancers, but it is most critical in inflammatory breast cancer. To really make a difference in the early detection of IBC and poor survival statistics, we need universal education of all women and their primary care physicians. We need great research minds to be inspired and want to solve the puzzle of this highly metastatic breast cancer. We need to shift our perspective as researchers and advocates to focus more on the issues of metastatic spread of this disease and bring it into the mainstream breast cancer conversation.
What I had was in my right breast. It wasn't a lump, it was like multiple spots that I felt all over, and I was enlarged on the one side. So when I started looking up, I came across this inflammatory thing. And I remember reading it on my computer and just shaking because I'm like, that's what I have, that's what I have. And I was so upset that that's what I had because it was so much worse than regular breast cancer.
Because we do not know the exact mechanism of why metastasis happen, it is very important to understand the mechanism. Not just the phenomenon, but exactly at the molecular and genetic level to understand is very important.
I've seen some changes in the last 5 years, but still I see that the oncology community and the medical community is not really embracing this topic as a major topic for research and for care.
Clinical trials is the only way to create new evidence or making a new progress how we could treat inflammatory breast cancer. If we do not do this, we will remain to have the same standard treatment and we will not make any progress. This means that we will not improve the survival of inflammatory breast cancers.
I believe it's time to bring inflammatory breast cancer out of the closet. This is a huge but critical step to saving these women's lives. We must come together as researchers, advocates, and survivors with one voice, one mission, one movement for IBC. We must collaborate and unite to move this to the next level. I believe that uniting our resources, we can make a greater impact. We stand on the verge of unlocking the key to the answers that could conquer this cancer. Pieces of the IBC molecular puzzle are being revealed through the groundbreaking work of committed and dedicated researchers. Discovery of new molecular pathways highly overexpressed and driving metastatic spread of IBC has been found, and targeted therapies are being identified. Now is the time for us to join together and collaborate and move this mission, this one voice, forward. I hope everyone will agree.
I will envision that we'll be able to really have a larger community of physicians, opinion leaders, to be understanding how important it is to really focus on which are the risk factors of the disease, how we can prevent, and how we can be more effective treated and identify these women very early on.
I think it's vitally important for oncologists to learn more about IBC.
My local oncologist is very well known and very well respected. There's a whole hospital oncology unit named after him in New Jersey, and he's a top-notch doctor. And I love him to death. He's a good guy, but he wouldn't have given me the extra chemo that Dr. C did, and he still doesn't know that I needed it. It's really hard on the patient when you have to tell your local oncologist that his plan's not necessarily what the specialist says, and they think they're a great doctor, and they can be, but they might not know something that someone else does.
I hope to live a very full life and have a lot more happening, with a lot more memories with my son and my husband and my family and friends before my time is up.